It's opening day, all hands on deck, including for the 238th straight game, Brett Favre is gonna get behind center. Oh, and Tom Brady looking businesslike as the Patriots arrived at the Meadowlands for a divisional game against, that's the new Jets runner, Thomas Jones. Different sort of business look, but it is on. Sunday NFL Countdown, it's time.
Butterflies. Been playing this game since I was 4 years old, and I still get butterflies to this day. It's nothing like opening day.
There's a bunch of emotions running through you.
They ain't ready for this!
Opening day is compared to horse racing. You feel like you're in the gate, you're holding it, and you just can't wait to bust out.
You get your butterflies, and it's here.
You're gonna walk out that tunnel and feel the adrenaline of 60,000 people.
You walking into that arena, you are the gladiator.
You can feel the stadium shaking, you hear the fireworks.
It's one of the wildest, craziest feelings. No better feeling in the world. Believe that.
It's just you and the football. What are you gonna do?
Get your popcorn, get your Raisinets, get your nachos. You're gonna love it, because it's going down.
IDN presents Sunday NFL Countdown. And now, here's your host, Chris Berman.
Oh, why don't we do it? It's a special season opening edition of Sunday NFL Countdown. We had to do that. The gang's all taped up. We're warmed up. We're ready to storm down the field of court for the opening kickoff. Hi, everybody. Chris Berman, glad you could be with us for the start of the season, our week one lid lifter. And we have, as always, assembled the best and the brightest. We start with a guy more versatile for us at ESPN than he ever was as a player. He's a Hall of Fame coach. He does it all here. What would the Papa Bear say with all the things you're doing?
Good
Mike
job
Ditka.
on the dishes, son. I washed dishes here. You know
Did you?
that. Yeah, I did last night.
You've come a long way.
I'm
nice.
getting up there.
Mike Ditka is with us. You know what? It takes a lot of skill to catch 814 balls for over 10,000 yards. It takes hands, it takes concentration, and you know what? It takes somebody throwing him the damn ball. And it all happened for this man, and now he gets to throw us the damn comments. We officially welcome to the set the dapperly dressed Keyshawn Johnson.
I try to be, but thanks a lot.
Welcome, man. Retirement, is it going all right?
Going great. Going fabulous.
Phone only ringing every
For the
other
time
day.
being, it's
For the
going
time
great.
Well, you know.
You never know. Hey, with all these injuries at receivers in the preseason, you just never know.
See, the phone is ringing, but not during this show. We have with us, only one man can say this. He rushed for more yards than anybody in the history of professional football. That would be 18,355 yards, more than Walter Payton, more than Jim Brown. Oh, by the way, 175 touchdowns. Second behind only Jerry Rice, which is a lot of trunks in his basement with all the touchdown footballs. We officially welcome Emmitt Smith. Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to give you some hits, though, you know.
Appreciate it. Y'all are beautiful.
And for
No tape of me. It's
21
okay.
years.
Yeah, we don't
It's in
need
black
it.
and white.
It's in black and white. We don't need it.
He's
We don't
been
need
with
it.
me
It's
longer
good.
than
Leather
Gleason and
helmets.
Carney have been together for 21 years.
Boom.
Tom Jackson, welcome back, Tom. We're ready for some football. In case, by the way, you haven't heard it yet, the Indianapolis Colts are apparently very serious about defending their Super Bowl crown. They raised the banner at the RCA Dome with Victrola barking in that little Victrola, the dog, Peyton Manning. Well, it took the Colts a while to get going against the New Orleans Saints, although when is Marvin Harrison going to slow down? Apparently never.
Well, great throw and catch, but a sparring match, as you said, Boom, early on, this was like two boxers, we're going to feel each other out.
Yeah, but the rope-a-dope ended in the second half when the Colts scored 31 straight points. Manning to Reggie Wayne out of the Batcave, stately Wayne Manor, 28 yards. They're toasting Jason David, who scored, but the ex-Colts were beaten 3 times at the corner. Now a save to Wayne, 45 yards, 41-10. The Colts defense did not allow a score. There's your headline, in addition to that the Manning and everybody won. I mean, Freddie Keaho, Kelvin Hayden, some of these guys you started to know late last year, and you saw them front and center. So, one game. Patriots haven't played, Chargers haven't played. Do we make the Colts the favorite in the AFC off what you saw?
I think clearly they are the favorite, and the reason why is just as you said, it's not the offense and Peyton Manning. We know exactly what they were going to do. It's the defense that was 32nd, dead last against the run last year, 21st overall. And I thought that Jason David actually was a microcosm of all the changes that the Colts made. A guy who went to another team, he's a starter, he gets burned. He's the guy they burned. Everybody that was replaced, I think you have better people in place, and if this defense is middle of the pack, they will be in the Super Bowl again.
Well, Tom, I wouldn't give it to the Colts just so fast, At the end of the day, I like the Patriots. I think the Patriots did a great job of upgrading their team. Offensively, they added Randy Moss. They also added Dante Stallworth. And when you have Randy Moss on your ball club, he will draw the double team. And when he draws the double team, that creates matchup problems for other defensive units. So Tom Brady, who is the master, we can all agree, he is the master of finding the multitude of wide receivers. He will do that and take full advantage of that upgrade.
Well, I think when you think about it, I love the Indianapolis Colts, but I'm in love with the New England Patriots. And the reason why, you got to think about Randy Moss. Even if people were saying Randy Moss is not the same player that he once was, Coach Ditka, but at the end of the day, even if he's standing out there as a cardboard cutout, you have to pay attention to him. Even if he doesn't get the football, even if he decides that I'm just going to run down the field, pull another hamstring, and stand out there. Do a terrific
That's
job.
likely.
He's going to do a terrific job to help Tom Brady.
You like the pass as much as that same Patty's Day tie you have on. Let me tell you what. You can't tell me that the defense the Colts played last year didn't bother Tony Dungy, and it did bother him. Well, he's fixed it, gang. Take a look at it. Go back to what they did when he was at Tampa Bay. That's the same defense. They're flying around hitting people. Let me tell you something. A lot of good players are watching this league. None more fun than Bob Sanders. He will smoke you.
He's smoked. Now, look, we all agree, New England and the Colts, Brady, Manning, they've won Super Bowls. Coach Belichick, Coach Dungy, they've won Super Bowls. No disrespect to Phillip Rivers and Norv Turner, but they don't have that resume. So, the Chargers, who had the best record last year at 14-2, they had a back who's pretty good, LaDainian Tomlinson, who broke every record except for the ones held by Emmett. What about the Chargers, Key? Could we put them up with this category? Can they supplant New England or supplant Indiana?
And I think the San Diego Chargers could, but they don't have the guy that went 14-2. They decided to part ways with him for whatever reason. They said, hey, we're not interested in going 14-2 again. We're going to bring in another coach. And not only that, the wide receiver position for them, they don't need one. They need 5 wide receivers to help that receiving core out.
Well, they got the general manager. What else you need?
Well, we got plenty from
Rhode Island. And that's why they're not going 14-2.
We got we'll see. They don't have to. They can get in the playoffs. We're going to talk Chargers later. By the way, all 3 of these teams play each other, starting with week 2. Chargers at Patriots, but that is next week. Today, the Patriots, 12-4 a year ago, opened with the team just down the road, a division foe for almost a half-century, the New York Jets. The rivalry, it's rarely boiled, but there was plenty of heat last season when the Jets, under longtime Bill Belichick assistant Eric Mangini, turned 4-12 into 10-6 in his first season, making the playoffs and playing the Patriots, who they lost to in Foxborough 37-16. But just winning postseason games, not New England's MO. Winning Super Bowls, that's the MO. So, in come, as the guys mentioned, Randy Moss, Dante Stallworth, Wes Welker, watch him, and Pro Bowl linebacker Dallas Thomas from the Ravens. True, Richard Seymour hurt, out till at least mid-October. Rodney Harrison suspended a month. But they still have well-dressed Tom Brady. And we still have Sal Palantonio. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Boomer. Today is the long-awaited debut, finally, of wide receiver Randy Moss in a New England Patriots uniform. As everybody knows, he's been on the shelf all summer with that hamstring injury, but I'm told by people close to this team that he had a spectacular week of practice with Tom Brady up in New England, and he's ready to play today. Same with Thomas Jones, the running back for the Jets. On the shelf all summer long with that calf strain, had a good week of practice, listed as questionable late in the week, but he will play today. This is all part of the gamesmanship and intrigue that goes on between these two teams, ratcheted up to an all-time high this week. Good example, last night the Patriots waited right up until the deadline to lift the roster exemption on Asante Samuel, who was a training camp holdout, raising the possibility he wouldn't play today. He's right behind me, warming up. He will play today, and as Keyshawn Johnson knows, Boomer, he played with the Jets, played in this division. There's a lot of intrigue between these two teams. And by the way, Keyshawn, Vinny, the security guard from Nutley in front of the Jets locker room, says, "How you doing?"
How you doing? See, Sal and Vinny, the security guard, they're mourning the Sopranos are gone. So they're going to talk to each other. Hey, how you doing?
Get about it.
How you doing? All right, well, we have asked you, Sal, we'll hear from you later on, which, on our .com poll, who do you like in the AFC? And, hey, they're 1-0 and 37% of the votes. We haven't heard from Hawaii yet, but the Colts have 37%, the Patriots 29%, the Chargers 18%, other, the field, other, 13%. We have only just begun.
Tiger Woods and Reds.
Still ahead on Sunday NFL Countdown. Even after a record-breaking season, Emmett finds out how LT is literally still climbing to the top of the NFL. Plus, Tony Romo and Eli Manning both ended their seasons on a bad note. So which QB is primed for a bounce-back year? Mort has the up-to-the-minute breaking news from around the league. Everything you need to know in the NFL. It's Sunday Headlines. Next. Sunday NFL Countdown is presented by IBM. What makes you special? And in part by NikeFootball.com. Leave nothing. And Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Be a little twisted.
While in Las Vegas for the NBA All-Star Game, Jones reportedly showered the stage in a strip club with more than $80,000.
The NFL has suspended Adam Pac-Man Jones for the entire 2007 season and Chris Henry for the first 8 games.
My reaction was, wow, just like everybody else, a shock. I don't think there was anything to go deeper into it.
2 Panama Canals could have been built in the time it took for the Dolphins and Chiefs to finally agree to terms on a trade for Trent Green. What took so long?
Why don't they just get rid of that guy? Well, now somebody has.
I definitely expect to be released. I will not be traded.
Tuesday, the football team finally allowing the quarterback to go and the quarterback leaving.
Tiki Barber may have found Eli Manning's button, the one you pushed to get a rise out of the Giants quarterback.
I guess I could have questioned his leadership skills last year with calling out the coach and having articles about him retiring in the middle of the season.
Bears linebacker Lance Briggs has come clean about how his Lamborghini met with a highway lamppost early Monday morning.
Obviously, I panicked. You know what I mean? I didn't want there to be a big scene there.
Moss, who didn't play in the preseason, says, "I will not be satisfied until I'm out there with the boys."
That's what I do. You know, I don't cut checks.
I don't shine shoes.
I don't tape ankles.
I play football.
That's what I came here to do.
That's what I came here to do.
Is Jamarcus Russell about ready to take that step? His Uncle Ray says yes. Told USA Today that a deal is almost done. Thing is, season is almost here.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Michael Vick. Don't worry, we will. Since Rich Gannon got hurt, this is not after the Raiders went to the Super Bowl, but since he got hurt, here's who the Oakland Raiders. They've not just won, baby. Kerry Collins, Marcus Tuiasosopo, Aaron Brooks, 0-8, Andrew Walter. Those are the starting quarterbacks since that time. They need some help, which is why they drafted Jamarcus Russell #1 overall, except he's not yet a Raider. We welcome back in his 17th season, which must mean you're playing the 17th hole Chris Mortensen. Mort, welcome back.
Well, since Keyshawn's there, just throw me the dang toss, Boomer.
All right, Mort.
Listen, Russell was expected to show at Saturday night's LSU Virginia Tech game, but there was no Russell sighting, so there's raising suspicions there that an imminent signing is about to happen. Suspicion is a good way to describe this negotiation. Both sides have lacked trust over how to guarantee Russell some $30 million. Negotiators met in Oakland the past 2 days. They suspend talks today, but hope to get it done Monday. At times, Russell seemed ready to cave, but a source close to the player says it's been NFL veteran players, including some Raiders, who have told Russell he would lose respect in the locker room if he gave in to Al Davis. Wow, what a surprise. Kyle Bowler signed a one-year extension with the Ravens on Thursday that takes him off next year's free agent market, Tommy. But before Bowler's deal got done, the Ravens did engage ex-Jaguars quarterback Byron Leftwich in contract talks, only to have negotiations fall apart after 3.5 hours. Leftwich will wait now to see if any team loses a starter through injury or performance. Now for our annual look at coaches on the hot seat going into the regular season. Number 5, John Fox of the Panthers. He's just 1 year into a hefty contract that won't necessarily save him with owner Jerry Richardson and lofty expectations gone unfulfilled. Number 4, Norv Turner of the Chargers. Do we need to explain this? The Chargers fired Marty Schottenheimer, who went 14-2 and got beat by the Patriots in the playoffs. Don't be fooled by that San Diego climate, Norv. It's hot there. Number 3, Jack Del Rio of the Jaguars. When you fire the starting quarterback, as Del Rio did just last week, then the head coach could be next. Then again, Del Rio clearly wanted Brady Quinn in the draft, so he had warned his owner, Wayne Weaver, that all was not well at that position. Number 2, John Gruden of the Bucs. With his head on the block, we could get vintage Chucky on the sidelines this year. The Bucs have had just one winning season since Gruden won the Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's team. Number 1, Tom Coughlin of the Giants. He has tried to mend the fence with a sharky media that circled the waters last year. Now ex-star Tiki Barber has joined the media and has reignited the fire. A one-year contract extension was not exactly an extinguisher. Now Wade Phillips might fall into the Norv Turner category, and it doesn't help these guys with people like Bill Cowher out there and Jeff Fisher, whose talks with the Tennessee Titans have gone nowhere. He'll be a free agent after this year, but it could be worse. They could be Lloyd Carr. We'll be back.
Just getting started here on Sunday NFL Countdown. T.O. hinting at new drama this season? And our expert weighs in on John Kitna's guarantee. A 10-year-old's take on a bold 10-win prediction. Coming up. And no need to wait till the end of the season. Find out who will win it all today. Super Bowl picks. Coming up. Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Chad Johnson and the Bengals, 1 year removed from the AFC North crown, host last year's AFC North winner, Ray Lewis of the Baltimore Ravens, game 1 of our Monday Night Football doubleheader. We welcome our crew this year, headed by Mike Tirico. Michael.
Chris, great to be back with you guys on Countdown. We look forward to another exciting season. And what a way to start, too, with the Bengals against the Ravens. And you think about such a good matchup with the Baltimore defense and Cincinnati's offense. And, Tony, let's go back to our last preseason game. Jaws said Carson Palmer is one of the elite quarterbacks.
One of the 3 only.
That's
correct.
Right. Well, here's an elite test right out of the gate, perhaps as good as it gets in defense in the league.
Well, I did put Carson Palmer in that elite category along with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Well, he's got to prove that he's an elite quarterback because he's going up against an elite defense, a complex and sophisticated defense, that of the Baltimore Ravens. And Ed Reed is one of those guys in the secondary that likes to rent space in your mind, moves around, tries to confuse you, force you into making mistakes. This is one of those games that's going to be played on Monday night. But really, when you look at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the preparation is key for this one.
Speaking of key, it's a division game. I don't care if it's December or September. You only play 6, and it feels like it matters more when it's something in your backyard.
Yeah, I'm loath to use the word critical in the first week, but it does seem to me that this is a critical game for Cincinnati to win. They lost their last 3 games last year, any one of which could have gotten them into the playoffs. The year before that, they lost their last 3 in a row, so you don't think they're a good closing team. They got a divisional rival at home. If they're a playoff team, I honestly think they've got to win this game.
And these are the last 2 teams to win this division. We look forward to seeing you for that special start time, beginning the doubleheader, 7 Eastern on Monday night. Boom.
All right, Michael, guys, thank you. Second game, out west on Bill Walsh Field, the renamed Bill Walsh Field in Candlestick Park. The Arizona Cardinals, Matt Leinart, USC quarterback. They're all over the place, Key. With Edgerrin James against Alex Smith, Frank Gore, and the Niners. That's the second game at 10:15 Eastern. So our Monday night countdown begins at 5 Eastern time. We welcome Coach Parcells for that. And you can see we begin at 1:30 in the afternoon with NFL Live and NFL Primetime and Around the Horn, et cetera. And then the game is at 7. And then on the late game, it's Mike, and Mike. Coach Ditka wings his way to San Francisco. Uh-oh, steady the Irish coffees. Coach is coming. He'll be on the late call with Mike, and we'll be back.
Still ahead, his season over, his career in jeopardy, his life turned upside down. How did Michael Vick plummet from NFL star to felon? Plus, sounds like T.O.'s not done stirring things up in Big D. One-on-one with the controversial cowboy. Coming up.
Man, I don't want to hear that question again.
Illegal dog fighting at the heart of the indictment.
An indictment is not a conviction.
We're dealing with allegations at this point.
It's all about judgment, and I'm protecting myself.
Police conducted a drug investigation raid at a house owned by Michael Vick and found dozens of neglected dogs.
That situation's gonna work itself out. People gonna start looking at me like, yo, that's just stupidity. That's stupid. A lot of things gotta change, and I mean that from the heart. So, if I got to be fishing and playing golf every day, keep myself away from everybody else, that's what I'm gonna be doing.
Vick, who's been hounded by accusations he might be involved in an alleged dogfighting ring.
Everywhere I go, all around the world, people still support Mike Vick. So, regardless of what I go through, people gonna love me, man.
Federal agents investigating possible dogfighting back again today, searching property owned by Michael Vick.
Michael Vick was indicted on 2 felony charges pertaining to his alleged involvement in a dogfighting operation.
No one will compromise what we stand for. This is not the young man that I've gotten to know in the last 6 years, so I am disappointed.
Today, you all either heard or saw Michael take the first step toward proving his innocence.
I love to come back, and to all my ATL fans, I love y'all. Hopefully I see y'all again.
Vick will not go to trial. He has agreed to a plea agreement and he will admit his guilt.
Vick participated in the execution of dogs by hanging and drowning them.
The National Football League is very disappointed that Michael put himself in this position. From the moment you read that indictment, it turns your stomach.
As expected, Michael Vick formally pleaded guilty.
If he wanted to, the judge could give him the maximum sentence.
Up to 5 years in prison.
I take this opportunity just to speak from the heart. First, I want to apologize for all the things that I've done and that I've allowed to happen.
Let me say again how profoundly disappointed and saddened we are by the actions that Michael has admitted to.
I was ashamed and totally disappointed in myself, and I will redeem myself. I have to.
Well, obviously one of the saddest stories in a long time. So while Michael Vick awaits his sentencing later in the fall, his Atlanta Falcons move forward with new quarterback Joey Harrington and new coach Bobby Petrino, who used to coach at Louisville. He's coachable right here. Bobby Petrino, the head coach. But Toto, this isn't Kansas anymore. The Falcons, 7-9 a year ago, visit the Minnesota Vikings. They were 6-10 in year 1 under Brad Childress. His quarterback is inexperienced Tavares Jackson, but his rookie running back, Adrian Peterson from Oklahoma, much anticipated. Once upon a time, Michael Vick made plays like this. Remember this? 2002, this very Homer Dome, same field the Falcons are at today. Late in his first starting season, this run helped put Atlanta in the playoffs, and they went on a roll. They won at Lambeau. Now all that's left is everyone's opinion, even that of Terrell Owens.
Number one, do I condone his actions? No. Do I feel that he's very sincere in his apology? Yes, I do. It's very unfortunate, for him to, number one, be judged outside, from a media or fan, standpoint as far as, how he should be punished. I think we have a justice system that's put in place for that.
You're from the South. Is dogfighting prevalent?
Well, yeah, and I think that's part of our culture, and I think it shouldn't be looked at any different than, you know, guys going out hunting deer, you know, cutting their heads off and hanging them on their walls. I mean, I think it's just a part of a culture that we're part of, and it's different from other cultures, where, you know, in other cultures, you know, chicken fighting or cockfighting is a big sport. I firsthand saw, you know, dogs, you know, fight, not to the death, but at the same time, you know, if a dog lost, they lost. I mean, it wasn't a result of them killing them, hanging them, of nothing of that nature. I know I had an uncle, you know, that fought dogs, and, you know, if that dog got scratched up, I mean, he cared for that dog. I mean, he made sure that, you know, he greased the wounds and all that stuff to take care of it.
How recently have you seen a dog fight?
Man, I was little, so it's been a number of years.
More of T.O.'s sit-down with Jim Gray later in Sunday NFL Countdown. We go back to Mort here. Is the league concerned that more players are involved in dog fighting?
Boom, we're going to get to that in just a little bit, but, you know, as you know, it's Roger Goodell's first year as commissioner, and he made quite an impression in that first year, in large part for the wrong reasons. But to get to your question right there on dog fighting, the commissioner actually has told me that he thought it was an isolated case, the Michael Vick thing. Now, he said he's also not naive because 40,000 Americans are engaged in it. But when the Humane Society suggested there's a subculture of NFL players involved in this, they asked the Humane Society for a lead, for names or what have you, and they had none. So what they're doing is they're obviously educating their veteran players. They're going to go with public service announcements. And maybe even more importantly, they're going to reach down to their NFL youth programs to educate another generation, Chris.
Mort, I know that you had a chance to speak with the commissioner, and we look forward to your conversations with him a little bit later on in the show. He's been on the job 1 year already, and again, we'll have more with the T.O. interview. We'll be back.
Coming up, Brett Favre versus Donovan McNabb. Which QB is more likely to make it to the postseason? We're live in Green Bay. Plus, what's really behind the Man Genius label in New York? On and off the field with Jets head coach Eric Mangini. Coming up.
Imagine if you...
Donovan McNabb, looking dapper, starting what he hopes will be a stellar season for him as the Eagles go into Lambeau Field to play the Green Bay Packers. And there he is. After 2 injury-plagued seasons, Donovan McNabb hopes to lead the Eagles to where they were his last healthy season, the Super Bowl. Phillies surge, you remember, to 5 straight wins to end 2006, including an unheard of 3 straight on the road against the entire NFC East. They also won a playoff game and then almost beat the Saints in New Orleans as well. But remember, that was Jeff Garcia at quarterback, so McNabb wants folks to remember his own heroics. Andy Reid used to coach Packers quarterbacks, i.e. Brett Favre. So Philly's trip to Green Bay today will be familiar to him as well, as will the sight of the incomparable number 4, Brett Favre, who started every game since early 1992. And remember, they also ended last season hot, the Packers winning their last 4. To the not yet frozen tundra at Rachel Nichols. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, Boomer. Well, Brett Favre arrives at this stadium being asked to play a very different kind of football. His head coach, Mike McCarthy, has said, I don't need Brett to play like a wild stallion anymore. I need him to play high completion, low interception ball. The only problem is this is Brett Favre, and when I talked to him about that quote from his coach, he laughed and shook his head. He said, that's hard for me to do. I think you've got to be willing to take chances. And Boomer, you've got to think that Favre is going to be tempted to take even more chances today with his offense so riddled by injuries. Wide receiver Greg Jennings is inactive for this game, and the Packers are being forced to start a 21-year-old rookie at running back, Brendan Jackson. Now on the Eagles side, they're playing with a quarterback who's less than healthy, and while Donovan McNabb says that he's going to be playing at less than 100% today, he tells me how he's warming up right now is going to be critical. He's going to come out here and throw a few balls pretty soon, and then when he gets back into the locker room, he's going to be riding the the bike to keep that knee warm. He's also, Boomer, going to be working with a special stretch therapist so he can keep that knee nice and loose as he heads back out on the field.
Stretch therapist. I have one too. It's Willie McCovey. Thank you, Rachel. We'll get back to you a little bit later in the program. We go over to Keyshawn and Coach over at our Cover 2 set. Brett Favre, Donovan McNabb. Which is more likely to lead his team to the playoffs? What do you think, Key?
Well, to you, Coach, I think it's Donovan McNabb. I mean, you think about it, ever since he's been a starter, he's led that team into the playoffs. I know he's coming back off injury, and everybody's saying, oh, he's injured, he's been hurt. So that's my pick.
Well, the only reason is Donovan McNabb is a Chicago guy. That's where he's from. But let me say this about Brett Favre. I think it's time. I really do. I think he has. Now, he doesn't have the receivers.
Time to go.
Oh, he doesn't have the receivers right now. He's got a better defense than he's ever had. That's why I think he's going to get him to the playoffs.
But he's a guy who wants to throw the football down the field.
But what they say, more conservative, do not turn it over.
He's never been conservative.
Yeah, well, I know that. He's a gunslinger.
And also with Donovan McNabb, you got to think about what it is that he's trying to do. He's trying to send a message to Philadelphia, to the Philadelphia fans, that let them know you took a pick and you drafted corn on the cob. At the end of the day, I'm the guy in Philly.
No, that's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to win football game. Because if he's worried about who they picked in the first or second or third round, he's wrong. All he wants to do is win.
More to come.
What is it that drives LaDainian Tomlinson? Emmitt Smith sits down with the Charger superstar to find out.
Seeing you, Michael, and Troy win that Super Bowl 3 times, that was my dream.
And if the Seahawks aren't the best team at sliding across a wet plastic tarp, we don't know who is. The main event explores this unique quarterback training device. Coming up. Who is the... Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Welcome back, everybody. Lots of new starting quarterbacks like David Garrard in Jacksonville. Byron Leftwich suddenly demoted, cut by Coach Jack Del Rio. Mort went through it. It's Garrard now at the helm of the Jags. There he is warming up at home today against division foe Tennessee. A change as well for the Kansas City Chiefs, who made the playoffs in year 1 under Herm Edwards. Gone is Trent Green to Miami, and starting now is Damon Heward. He won a lot of games while Green was hurt last year. Kansas City's in Houston today, where David Carr, who started every opening day for the Texans, he's now backing up in Carolina. Matt Stump the Shop now starts for Houston, and wouldn't Atlanta like to still have him now? How to keep it all straight? How about our Hall of Fame quarterback? We welcome back Steve Young, who of course is restless.
The biggest move this offseason at quarterback was Trent Green going to Miami. A grizzled old veteran with gas yet in the tank. I expect him to play very good football this season. And also tutor young John Beck, who will lead this team in the future. It's exactly what I thought Trent Green would do in Kansas City. Play great football and help young Brodie Croyle. For that exact fact, the Miami Dolphins, a 500 or above team with Trent Green, and Kansas City, a sub-500 team without him. Let's go to the hurry-up. We're going to address some of the other quarterback issues around the league. Jacksonville Jaguars cutting Byron Leftwich shocked a lot of people, but not me, because Byron's missing that key ingredient that every quarterback today has to have, no matter how big and strong you are. The first defender, you have to have the ability to make him miss, and Byron didn't. Quarterback in the hot seat, it's got to be Eli Manning in New York. Everybody's talking about it. Football is an emotional game, and the emotional leader of a team, no matter how cool he looks on the field, is the quarterback. Eli needs to show that he has the moxie game after game to lead this football team, and I need to see it with my eyes. Quarterbacks on the rise, a fun opening day game. Denver and Buffalo, Jay Cutler and J.P. Lossman, both young quarterbacks that I expect to have very solid seasons. Maybe not Pro Bowlers, but to be very good players, and I expect Jay Cutler to lead the Denver Broncos to the playoffs. The quarterback I'm most worried about this year is Vince Young, not because he won't play great football, but because the Tennessee Titans snuck up on everyone last year, and the focus wasn't there. This year, everyone will be focused on stopping Vince and the Titans, and that'll make it much more difficult for Vince. And so finally, who's the quarterback that's going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the year? My pick is Tom Brady. He's done it without a lot of help, and this year he gets a lot of help. And he enters rarefied air with Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana as the only quarterbacks ever to win 4 Super Bowls.
Still ahead, what Commissioner Roger Goodell sees in Michael Vick's future. Plus, when John Kitna guaranteed 10 wins for Detroit, he wasn't kidding. And neither is Jason Krause. Our new 10-year-old expert roars back at the brave lion. Coming up.
In 2006, the Atlanta Falcons summoned 46-year-old kicker Morton Anderson out of retirement to provide a lift to the kicking game. The 24-year veteran stepped in and never missed a beat. The Great Dane would culminate his illustrious career by becoming the NFL's all-time leader in scoring and field goals made.
Snap, spot, kick, and he's done it. How about that?
Okay. Debut of Monday Night Countdown at a special time, 5 p.m. Eastern. Bill Parcells and Keyshawn Johnson had their ups and downs on the field. How will they get along in the studio? Plus, TJ brings the pain with Jacked Up. Monday Night Countdown for 2 hours before the Ravens and Bengals. That's tomorrow. There's the Natalie-clad Bill Belichick entering the Meadowlands. The Patriots-Jets, a big early game. More on that in a little while. Of course, you'll have to do without the suspended Rodney Harrison, 8 miles from the Meadowlands. Mort, the NFL offices where the commissioner resides.
Yep, 1 year on the job for Roger Goodell, Harrison, Michael Vick, Pac-Man Jones, Tank Johnson, Chris Henry. One thing I found out about Roger Goodell when I sat down with the commissioner this week, he was trying to get the focus back on the football field.
Another Bengals arrest.
Illegal dog
fighting.
They must clean up their act, black guys. In the
pro athletes need to act like pro athletes.
For those who have an impression that this is a league full of criminals or those who have lost their moral compass, how do you respond?
We have 2,000 of the greatest athletes, both on the field and off the field, and I firmly believe that. We have a few players that have made some bad judgments, made some mistakes. That has gotten most of the media attention, and we all understand that. It's the world we live in right now.
Convict! Convict!
What bothers you most about the Vick case?
Well, the actions of being involved with dogfighting are reprehensible. I'm disappointed that anyone would be involved with it, much less an NFL player. That's disturbing to me. It's obviously disturbing, too, that that has created a negative image for our players. And I think that's wrong, and I think it's unfortunate. This is an isolated case to Michael Vick from all the information we have, and it's unfortunate that people are looking at it in a broader perspective.
What does he have to do to earn his way back into the league?
I haven't, again, focused on where I see him several years from now or 2 years from now or 1 year from now. Again, he has to face the legal issues, and then the National Football League will do what they think is in our best interest and our fans' best interest.
Does it bother you that your image right now is like when people say Roger Goodell, it's like, hey, he's the heavy-handed commissioner. I mean, does that bother you at all?
It does, because I certainly don't rule the roost at home, and it's hard for people to understand that. I don't look at it that way, and it's one of the reasons I've gone out to our clubs to meet with our players, because I think there is a misperception of how I approach this job.
Now, Roger Goodell formed a player advisory committee this offseason. Out of that advisory committee, he found out, or he believed there's a disconnect between veteran players and younger players, especially rookies coming into the league with big fat contracts, as to that respect factor. So to that end, Goodell has implemented and instituted that all teams will name captains, permanent captains for the season, and you'll actually see them wearing the C patches like in hockey during the course of the season. You saw that certainly Thursday night with the Colts and Peyton Manning. So all around the league, you'll see that C patch indicating that he has been voted by his teammates, for the most part, a permanent captain. Those are the leaders, and they want the young players to connect to those guys, Boom.
All right, Mort, thank you very much. I'm sitting here with some of the more esteemed players, coaches in the league, record holders, Pro Bowlers, Super Bowl champs, Hall of Famers, etc. Are you guys troubled by the image of the league, Tom?
Well, Boom, you know, I'm old school, so certainly I was troubled by the image of the league. But you look at Emmett, you look at Keyshawn, you know, they played a different game than I played. And I think that when you start talking about money, which I think is the key issue, you as a player can make so much money that no one can tell you what to do. But it does not mean that you get a chance to do anything that you want. And I think that Roger Goodell is trying to draw that line for those players who can't define it for themselves. He is doing that. And I think he's already had a positive impact. It will continue, and I thought that it was long overdue.
Well, I think, you know, when I look at the image of the league, I don't really see it as a big problem. There's a very small few players in the league. You think about it, every time you look up, it's Pac-Man, it's Tank Johnson. Now you have the Michael Vick problem. So there's a small percentage, Henry in Cincinnati. But I played for coaches, Coach Dungy. We respected Coach Dungy in Tampa. We knew not to do anything wrong. And as far as Parcells go, we respected him. And if you didn't, he's going to hit your pockets, you'll be gone, you won't be able to feed your families. And I think that's the only way that you're going to get to these players in the National Football League is by doing those things.
Well, Key, I'm very concerned, guys. At the end of the day, when you look at this thing, I'm concerned that the players are not taking the message that Roger is sending very seriously at all. Because when you see the consistent pattern of players doing stupid stuff, whether it be Tank Williams having the guns, Pac-Man Jones throwing up dollars in the club, making it rain, Mike Vick and the Dogs. Then you have to talk about Lance Briggs wrapping his $360,000 automobile around a light pole. That is not the message that the league want to send out to sponsors and so forth. So I am concerned.
I think playing in the NFL is not a birthright. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be able to do it. And if you don't respect that, then you ought to have problems. The only way you're going to hurt these guys, and you said it, Emmett, you hit them in the pocketbook. You hit them in the pocketbook. If you don't have money, you can't do the wrong thing. My whole deal is you don't want to shoot somebody, don't buy a gun. It's simple. It's not too complicated.
You know, and you heard the commissioner refer to it. Years from now, he'll have a whole nother image. But in year one, if he's going to have only one leading image, he picked the right one. We will be back. Stay with us.
Busting out of Bill Belichick's shadow. Go behind the scenes and discover what makes Jets head coach Eric Mangini his own man.
I'd say the most important piece of work I've done is my work with Sesame Street, and got to coach Elmo with a group of the guys.
All right, now we're ready to play some football.
Yeah. Plus, to avoid this, Matt Hasselbeck has been practicing this. The Seahawks quarterback is opting to slip and slide his way out of tackles.
Now that I've had this training, I'll never go for the extra yard. Not me.
The main event is on the way. And who will win Super Bowl 42? The guys break out their picks today. Coming up. Around the League. Brought to you by DirecTV. For the
You can feel the stadium shaking, you hear the fireworks, and it gets the goosebumps.
A lot of adrenaline is going on throughout your whole body.
It makes you feel like a little kid going to the playground where you have the playground all to yourself.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, everybody, and back to the Jets hosting the Patriots. For years, Eric Mangini studied everywhere under Bill Belichick, from Browns ball boy to Patriots defensive coordinator. Even though he's now his own head coach, he'll never get away. This is the fourth time in a calendar year that he'll face off against his old mentor. How to get a competitive advantage? Well, as Wendy Nix found out, Mangini spent the offseason searching out some curious characters from all walks of life.
Oh, hi! Oh, guess what I was thinking about today? That's right, football! Yay!
It was a busy offseason for Eric Mangini, including an official visit to one of the most famous streets in America.
It's Eric Mangini, Chad Pennington, Lavernius Coles, and Ben Graham from the New York Jets? Really? Wow.
Especially good news for 3-year-old Jake, who tagged along.
I grew up with it. I think it's an incredible program, and to be part of that was really special for me personally, because I experienced it as a child.
Would you like to train with us?
Train?
He means practice. If you want to get really good at football, Elmo, you have to practice.
Is it safe to say you got more points for that than you did winning some football game, at least with Jake?
Jake's a huge Elmo fan, and he appreciated being on Sesame Street, and it's such a nice thing to do as a father, to be able to share that with your son. That was pretty special.
It wasn't Mangini's only appearance on the small screen. He also made a cameo in an episode of the final season of The Sopranos.
There's a message asking whether or not I'd like to be on The Sopranos, and I thought at that point someone was just giving me a hard time. But when I called, it was in fact legitimate, and I just thought it was a great opportunity, and we did it. We did the shoot 2 days later.
His foray into the world of Muppets and mobsters is quite a departure from his introduction to New Yorkers.
It's my pleasure and honor to introduce the next head coach of the New York Jets, Eric Mangini.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duncan.
If I played a tape of that first press conference when you were named the head coach of the New York Jets.
I know how passionate the Jets fans are. I've been here with them, and I've played against them. And I'm a lot happier being here with them.
You look at that guy, what do you think?
That was the first challenge of being a head coach, and I haven't looked at that tape, and I probably won't.
What would people be most surprised to learn about Eric Mangini?
That my favorite thing to do is spend time with the family and with the kids. We do spend so much time here away from the family. To be able to spend time with them, it's just incredible.
After games, win or lose, the Mangini family has a post-game routine, which has already become a tradition.
Luckily, they're not really aware of what a win or a loss means, so it's the same, daddy, daddy, daddy. And then they always have apple pie and ice cream waiting for him. And it's fun, and so it does give you perspective.
A perspective Mangini already has, at least when it comes to his day job.
Is there any chance we would lose you to a different profession at this point then?
Well, most of the things that I've been invited to do, I haven't had speaking roles, and there's probably a reason for that. But I think I'm going to stay here.
Thank you very much, Wendy. His speaking roles apparently have done so far so good with the team. Different methods of motivation continue during training camp. Remember all the boxing film that he would show last year? He played Mozart during some two-a-day practices, so there's a little classic for you. All right, Jets at home against the Patriots. They did beat them once in the middle of the year last year in Foxborough, but the Patriots certainly are ready. How can the Jets win this game, Emmett? How would it happen?
Well, Boom, the Jets have to start off by running the rock, first of all. They have to run Thomas Jones and Leon Washington to make things happen on the ground for the Jets early and often. Then they really got to find a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field, because Chad Pennington cannot stretch the field. They need to get the ball down the field, and that would not happen. But if they attack the middle of the field in the areas where Chad can throw the ball, they will be fine. Third, they got to convert on third down in order to eat up some clock, keep Tom Brady and his team on the bench. Then they got to win 2 of the 3 phases.
I think that comparison's inevitable. You've got Coach Mangini, who's a disciple of Coach Belichick. But I think when you look at the most important position in sport, when you go to the quarterback, and Emmett mentioned it, you've got a guy, one in Chad Pennington, who cannot throw more than 25 yards down the field. So I, as a defense, will play up and make sure that, and you saw it during the preseason, people jumping balls all over the field. Meanwhile, Tom Brady has been handed the keys to the entire football field, because Dante Stallworth and Randy Moss, and I'm not big